Captain June sat in the corner of the mess hall, eyes fixed on her tablet. Her fingers moved quickly, shifting virtual ships across a simulated battlefield. She wasn't playing to win, she was playing to learn. "Another game?" asked Lieutenant Kim, sliding into the seat across from her. "Don't you ever take a break?" June smiled without looking up. "This is my break." The Odyssey, humanity's first diplomatic vessel, hummed quietly around them. For 6 months they had been traveling between alien worlds, introducing Earth to the Galactic Confederation. Most humans found the aliens fascinating. June found their battle tactics disappointing. "Their strategies are so predictable," she often told Kim. "It's like they never heard of Sun Tzu." Growing up on Earth had shaped June in ways she was only beginning to understand. The Confederation had classified Earth as a death world due to its high gravity, extreme weather, and abundance of predators. To the aliens, humans were walking tanks, stronger, faster, and more durable than most species. But June had never been interested in physical advantages. Her parents, both professors, had filled their home with books and puzzles. By age 7, she was beating adults at chess. By 15, she had mastered every strategy game she could find. The ship's intercom crackled. "Captain June to the command deck. Urgent." Kim raised an eyebrow. "What did you do this time?" "Nothing," June said, tucking away her tablet. "Probably. Just another cultural misunderstanding." When she reached the command deck, she found it filled with aliens. Tall, blue-skinned Pell diplomats stood next to the squat, 6-armed Tasco military advisors. At the center stood Admiral Day, the highest-ranking human on board. "Captain June," the Admiral said, "these gentlemen would like to discuss your hobby." "My hobby?" June asked, confused. A Tasco stepped forward. "We observed your recreational activities. You have achieved victory in 17 consecutive simulated battles against our most advanced war programs." June shifted uncomfortably. "They're just games." "Games based on real battle scenarios," the Tasco continued. "Scenarios where our forces suffered heavy losses against the Voidborn." The room fell silent. Everyone knew about the Voidborn, a mysterious empire expanding rapidly through the galaxy. Reports said they conquered without mercy, their strange tactics confounding even the most experienced Confederation commanders. "We want you to explain your strategies," Admiral Day said. "I don't have strategies," June said. "I just play." "Show them," the Admiral ordered, pointing to the main display. Reluctantly, June loaded her latest game. The aliens watched as she quickly defeated a simulated Voidborn fleet. Her ships moved in patterns that seemed random at first, but always converged at exactly the right moment. "This is not standard doctrine," Appel said. "Where did you learn?" "This," June shrugged. "Nowhere, I just do what makes sense." "Captain June," Admiral Day said quietly, "the Voidborn destroyed 3 Confederation fleets last month. We're being summoned to Central Command. They want you at the strategy table." "Me? I'm just a communications officer." "Not anymore," the Admiral said. "The Galactic War Council requested you specifically." Later in her quarters, June paced nervously. "This is crazy," she told Kim. "I'm not a military strategist. I play games." "Games you never lose," Kim pointed out. "That's different. Real battles have real consequences. Real people die." Kim nodded. Toward the window, where stars streaked by as they traveled at faster-than-light speeds. "The Voidborn are coming, June. If they're half as bad as the reports say, a lot more people will die without your help." June stared out at the stars, thinking of Earth. Beautiful, dangerous Earth, where humans had learned to survive against all odds. Perhaps that was why her games seemed so revolutionary to the aliens. Humans had never had the luxury of predictable battles or honorable defeats. "Fine," she finally said, "but I'll need data. Everything they have on Voidborn tactics." "That's my girl," Kim grinned. "Show those aliens what Deathworlders can do." As the Odyssey changed course for Central Command, June returned to her tablet. But now, instead of playing for fun, she played with purpose. The galaxy was at war, and somehow her casual hobby had become their best hope for victory. The Galactic War Council chamber buzzed with tension. Representatives from 17 species sat around a massive holographic table displaying the latest. Voidborn advance. 3 star systems lost in just 2 months. Billions displaced. The situation was dire. June stood at the entrance, feeling out of place. She wore her standard Odyssey uniform, while everyone else dressed in elaborate military regalia covered with medals and insignia. "Is this some kind of joke?" Admiral Tahoe asked, his silver scales reflecting the holographic light. "You bring a junior communications officer to solve our military crisis." Admiral Day stepped forward. "Captain June has demonstrated remarkable ability in tactical simulations. She has defeated every scenario we've presented her, including those based on actual Voidborn victories," Tahoe snorted. "Games are not war." "Perhaps you should let her speak," suggested Commander Mina, a tall Pell whose skin changed colors with her mood. Currently, she was a worried shade of deep blue. June approached the table hesitantly. The hologram showed the Voidborn fleet. Strange, asymmetrical ships that didn't match any known design philosophy. "May I?" she asked, gesturing to the controls. A Tasco operator vacated his seat. June sat down and began manipulating the display. She reviewed the Confederation fleet positions, then the Voidborn movements. After a few minutes, she looked up. "Your battle plan is wrong," she said simply. The room erupted in offended murmurs. "Excuse me?" Taiho's scales darkened to a dangerous red. "That plan was created by our finest strategists, and it follows standard doctrine perfectly," June agreed. "That's why it will fail. The Voidborn have studied your tactics. They know exactly what you'll do before you do it." She altered the display, breaking up the neat formation into scattered groups. "You need to become unpredictable. Hit them where they don't expect. Use smaller ships as decoys, make them waste resources." "Scattered formations, decoys?" Taiho looked disgusted. "But this isn't how war works. War is about honor, about facing your enemy directly." "I may be in your culture," June said. "On Earth, war has always been about winning with minimal losses. Sometimes that means not playing fair." The concept clearly horrified the Council. Several members began arguing at once. "Silence." "Commander." Mina's voice cut through the chaos. Her skin had shifted to a thoughtful purple. "Let her finish." June continued, explaining concepts the aliens had never considered. Asymmetric warfare, guerrilla tactics, psychological operations. She showed how smaller forces could defeat larger ones by avoiding direct confrontation and targeting vulnerabilities. "The Voidborn expect you to fight with honor," she explained. "They're counting on it. That's why they keep winning." "So you propose we abandon our principles?" Taiho asked, voice cold. "I propose you survive," June replied. "The Voidborn don't share your code of honor. They're using it against you." Admiral Day cleared his throat. "There's another factor to consider. The Voidborn attacked a human colony last week. This was news to June." "Casualties?" "Minimal," Day said with a slight smile. "It seems they weren't prepared for Deathworlders, but they'll adapt quickly." "Commander." Mina's skin shifted to a decisive yellow. "I believe we should try Captain June's approach. The traditional methods have failed us." "This is madness," Taiho protested. "We cannot abandon 10,000 years of military tradition on the advice of a game player." June stood up straight. "With respect, Admiral, your tradition has cost you 3 star systems. How many more are you willing to lose?" The room fell silent. Even Taiho had no immediate response. "We have a saying on Earth," June continued more gently. "Insanity is doing the same thing over and over and expecting different results. The Voidborn have your playbook. It's time to write a new one." After hours of debate, the Council finally agreed to try June's approach, but only in a limited engagement. One fleet would adopt her tactics, while the others maintained traditional formations. As the meeting ended, Commander Mina approached June. "Your ideas are disturbing, but interesting. I believe they may work against the Voidborn." "I hope so," June said. Mina studied her with multifaceted eyes. "You play these war games for entertainment?" "We call them strategy games," June corrected. "And yes, we play them for fun." Mina's skin rippled with a color June had never seen before. "Deathworlders are even stranger than I thought." As June left the chamber, Admiral Taiho stepped into her path. "If your plan fails, human, the consequences will be on your head." June met his gaze steadily. "And if it works?" Taiho didn't answer. He didn't need to. They both knew that success would challenge everything the Confederation thought they knew about warfare, and that might be more dangerous than the Voidborn themselves. The command center orbiting Proxima Centauri hummed with nervous energy. Dozens of officers from different species monitored displays showing the approaching Voidborn fleet. In the center of the room, Captain June sat cross-legged in a chair designed for a much larger alien. She held a cup of tea in one hand and a stylus in the other, occasionally making marks on her tablet. "They're within range, Captain," reported Commander Mina. Her skin had turned a tense gray. "All ships are in position according to your unusual formation." June nodded without looking up. "Perfect. Now we wait." Admiral Taiho stormed over. "Wait. The enemy is advancing. We should engage immediately." "Not yet," June said calmly, taking a sip of her tea. "Let them commit to their approach." The Voidborn fleet moved exactly as expected, their ships forming into a wedge designed to split the seemingly scattered Confederation forces. "They think we're disorganized," June explained, still doodling on her tablet. "They're moving to take advantage." "Because we are disorganized," Taiho hissed. "Your plan has our ships spread across half the system." June finally looked up, her eyes sharp and focused despite her relaxed posture. "Only appearing disorganized. There's a difference." She tapped her tablet and the main display changed, showing hidden patterns in the Confederation fleet positions. Each ship knows exactly where it needs to be. The Voidborn flagship pushed deeper into Confederation space, followed by its support vessels. "Now," June said quietly. Commander Mina relayed the order. Across the system, Confederation ships that had appeared to be drifting or running suddenly changed course. Small, fast attack vessels swarmed from hidden positions. The scattered formation collapsed inward, trapping the advancing Voidborn in a three-dimensional net. "That's interesting," June murmured as the Voidborn tried to regroup. She made another mark on her tablet. "They adapt quickly. Let's try this instead." She suggested a minor adjustment to the attack pattern. The command center staff exchanged glances. The human was treating this deadly battle like it was one of her games, yet her casual suggestions were devastatingly effective. Hour after hour, the Voidborn tried to break free of the trap. Each time they found a potential escape route, June would look up from her doodling, make a seemingly offhand comment, and the Confederation forces would shift just enough to close the gap. "I don't understand," Admiral Taiho admitted grudgingly as the battle entered its 10th hour. "How are you anticipating their moves?" "I'm not exactly," June explained, stretching her arms above her head. "I'm giving them obvious choices, then planning for when they take them." By the 18th hour, the Voidborn fleet was crippled. Their once proud ships drifted disabled or retreated in disarray. The Confederation had suffered minimal losses. As the command center erupted in celebration, June simply finished her cold tea and stood up. "Good game," she said to no one in particular. Later, Commander Mina found June in the observation deck, looking out at the stars. "Your strategy was brilliant," Mina said, her skin now a respectful gold. "But many find your approach disturbing." "My approach?" "You were so calm, so casual. As if people weren't dying out there." June turned from the window. "If I had panicked or second-guessed myself, more would have died. Sometimes distance is necessary." "Perhaps," Mina conceded, "but word is spreading across the Confederation. They're calling it the human way of war." "And what are they saying about this human way?" Mina's skin flickered through several colors before settling on a truth-telling blue. "That it is terrifyingly effective. That Deathworlders treat galaxy-shaking battles like puzzles to be solved. That you won without honor, but you won nonetheless." June sighed. "Where I come from, bringing your people home alive is the highest honor." Before Mina could respond, Admiral Day entered the observation deck. "Captain June, we're receiving requests from across the Confederation. Everyone wants the architect of the Proxima victory." "I'm not a military advisor," June protested. "I'm just a communications officer." "Yes, I know." Day smiled. "But communication is exactly what we need now. The Confederation needs to learn how Deathworlders think." As they left the observation deck, Mina noticed June's tablet. On it was not a complex battle plan as she had assumed, but a simple drawing of Earth surrounded by protective ships. Even in the midst of a galactic war, the human had been thinking of home. The Confederation High Command transformed an entire space station into what they called the Terran Strategic Division. 20 humans worked there now, none with military backgrounds. June had handpicked them, chess grandmasters, video game champions, puzzle designers, and strategy theorists. The Voidborn have adapted to our initial tactics, June explained to her team. They sat in a circular room surrounded by holographic displays showing battle reports. They're learning our patterns. Sue, a former professional Go player, nodded. They're good students. Almost too good. That's why we need fresh approaches, June said, ideas they haven't seen before. The human team introduced concepts that shocked the Confederation military, feints to draw out enemy forces, false retreats that led to ambushes, and misinformation campaigns that confused Voidborn intelligence. Admiral Taiho observed one planning session with growing unease. The humans laughed and joked while planning military operations. They treated star charts like game boards. They argued passionately about tactics, then went to lunch together like nothing had happened. I still don't understand how your people think, he told June afterward. We think like survivors, June replied. Earth taught us to adapt or die. For 6 months, the human strategies worked brilliantly. The Voidborn retreated from 3 sectors. Confederation morale soared. June's team became celebrities, their casual approach to warfare both fascinating and frightening to the other species. Then the Voidborn revealed their own adaptation. The distress call came during dinner. June rushed to the command center to find chaos. On the main display, the Graxis system burned. The Voidborn had copied the humans' tactics, then improved upon them. Casualties? June asked, her voice tight. Over 60% of our forces, Commander Mina reported, her skin ash-gray with distress. Civilian losses still being calculated. June stared at the display, the numbers blurring before her eyes. She had been so clever, so casual with her strategies. Now thousands were dead. This isn't a game, she whispered to herself. That night she couldn't sleep. Every time she closed her eyes, she saw ships burning. Ships she had positioned, people who had trusted her plans. At dawn, Lieutenant Kim found her in the observation deck, still in yesterday's uniform. It's not your fault, Kim said gently. I treated it like a puzzle to solve, June said. I forgot what was at stake. So what now, you give up? June shook her head. No, I need to understand them better. Not just how they fight, but why. She spent the next week studying everything about the Voidborn, not their military tactics, but their culture, their history, their beliefs. The Confederation had thousands of intelligence reports, but most focused only on military capability. They're not just warriors, June realized. They're people. When she returned to her team, she had a new approach. We've been playing the wrong game, she told them. We've been trying to defeat their military when we should be trying to understand their society. She presented her findings. The Voidborn valued ancestry above all else. Their leaders claimed direct descent from godlike founders. Their ships carried ancestral relics. They fought not just for conquest, but to prove their worthiness to their ancestors. They would rather die than bring shame to their lineage, June explained. That's not a tactical weakness, it's a cultural one. Her new strategy targeted this vulnerability. Instead of destroying Voidborn ships, they would capture them intact, along with their precious relics. Instead of killing commanders, they would force them to surrender, a shameful act in Voidborn culture. This isn't about winning battles anymore, June told Admiral Taiho and Commander Mina. It's about understanding what the enemy values most, then using that understanding to end the war. This is not honorable, Taiho protested, but with less conviction than before. No, June agreed. But it might save lives on both sides. As she left the meeting, Kim was waiting. So we're using empathy as a weapon now. June considered this. Not as a weapon, as a tool for peace. Understanding your enemy is the first step to ending a war. And if it doesn't work? June's eyes hardened. Then at least I tried the human way. Not just with human tactics, but with human heart. The Voidborn home system loomed ahead, its ancient red sun casting a bloody light on the gathering Confederation fleet. After 2 years of war, this would be the final confrontation. But unlike previous engagements, June had prepared a strategy, unlike any before. "You want us to do what?" Admiral Taiho asked, scales flashing with disbelief. "Not fight," June repeated, standing before the combined fleet commanders. "At least, not directly." Her plan was audacious. Instead of the expected all-out assault, the Confederation would execute what John called the ultimate bluff. Using a combination of holographic projections, sensor ghosts, and precisely calculated ship movements, they would create the illusion of a force 5 times their actual size. "The Voidborn value their ancestry above all," June explained. "Their home system contains the tombs of their founders. They will surrender rather than risk those sacred sites." Many commanders doubted, but June's record of success earned her the chance to try. The operation began at dawn. Confederation ships moved in seemingly random patterns while projecting false signatures. Communications filled Voidborn channels with carefully crafted misinformation. From the Voidborn perspective, it appeared as if hundreds of ships surrounded their system from all sides. In the command center, June monitored everything with her usual calm demeanor. "They're responding exactly as predicted," she noted, watching. "Voidborn ships rushing to defend their ancestral planets. Their formation is stretched thin." For 3 days the dance continued. The Confederation never fired a shot, yet the Voidborn grew increasingly desperate as they tried to counter phantom threats. On the 4th day, a message arrived from the Voidborn flagship. Their Supreme Commander requested terms of surrender. "It worked," Kim whispered in awe. "Your crazy plan actually worked." June nodded, relief washing over her face. "Peace through understanding," she said quietly. The surrender ceremony was set aboard a neutral vessel in orbit around the Voidborn homeworld. June, as architect of the final strategy, would represent the Confederation alongside Admiral Taiho and Commander Mina. Supreme Commander Minji of the Voidborn entered the chamber flanked by her officers. She was tall and pale, with intricate patterns etched into her skin telling the story of her lineage. Her eyes scanned the Confederation delegation, finally settling on June. "You are the one they call the tactician?" she asked, voice sharp with surprise. "I am Captain June," she replied. "Simply, I expected—" Minji hesitated. "A hardened war veteran," June smiled slightly. "I'm just a human who plays games." The peace terms June had drafted shocked both sides. Rather than demanding unconditional surrender, they respected Voidborn ancestral traditions. Their sacred sites would remain untouched, their lineage records preserved. In return, they would cease expansion and join the Confederation as equals. "You offer mercy when you could demand submission," Minji said, studying the terms. "Why?" "Because peace isn't just about ending war," June replied. "It's about preventing the next one." Later, as they walked through the gardens of the neutral vessel, Minji asked the question that had been bothering her. "How did you understand us so well? Our weaknesses, our values?" June looked out at the stars, thinking of distant Earth. "On my world, to survive, we had to understand our predators and each other. Games taught us strategy, but life on a death world taught us adaptability." "You learned empathy as a survival trait," Minji realized. "The strongest weapon in any conflict," June agreed, "is understanding what matters most to your opponent." 1 year later, the Galactic Confederation established the Terran Strategic Academy. Housed in a massive space station, it welcomed students from all member species, including former Voidborn June, now Admiral June, often began her lectures the same way. "War is not a game, but the skills that make a good strategist, creativity, adaptability, and above all understanding, these apply to both." The Academy's approach blended the tactical brilliance humans had shown throughout the conflict with something deeper, the laid-back intensity that came from evolving on a world where casual mastery of survival wasn't just advantageous, but necessary. As other species studied under human mentors, they discovered that the true power of Deathworlders wasn't their physical strength or unusual tactics. It was their ability to turn the unpredictability of their homeworld into an advantage, finding peaceful solutions where others saw only inevitable conflict.